Are you ready for some motherfucking football? Probably not. But on the heat-drenched fields of America, cleats are grinding into clay and turf, shoulder pads are being donned, and another football season is soon to be upon us. Let's see how the AFC and its lack of parity will shape up. Last year was the year where the Bills morphed from the walking mediocrity into an absolute clown show. Rex Ryan and his power grabs complemented by Doug Whaley's 1,000-yard stare into oblivion. Now, Terry Pagula trusts his team to a handful of disciples from the Carolina Panthers, who either choked in playoff time or underachieved dramatically in the season. Maybe the GM will actually know when the coach gets fired this time. And maybe Tyrod Taylor won't get completely fucked around by management, or LaShawn McCoy's legs won't evaporate due to overuse. And the Patriots harvested more of your players. Enjoy watching them on TV in January. So the good news is that you didn't repeat the same mistakes you made in past off-seasons and throw shitloads of money at players. The bad news is that there are still a lot of question marks on your team. Did Jay Ajayi use enough MP potions to regain lost mana in the offseason? Will Ryan Tannehill be able to throw a football more consistently, or will he maintain his Jekyll Hyde persona? Will Tannehill actually play at all?
Nope.
So who the hell is your QB now? Jay Cutler! Father, forgive them. They do not know the horrible pain they are about to experience. You're as fucked as a dolphin in Japanese waters. Tom Brady may have a finite amount of time left in the football realm, but by God are they trying to make them count. The Patriots have gone all in this offseason and brought Brady the nuclear codes of at least 3 civilized nations. Brandon Cook, Stephon Gilmore, the returns of Dante Hightower, and Malcolm Butler. It's going to be yet another year where the Patriots lead their hordes into cities across America to rape and pillage the hopes and dreams of fans everywhere. Which is going to be even funnier when they go 18-1 again. So last year was a colossal disappointment. Most of the veterans have been shed and the team is an absolute mess. There's only one thing to do. Throw the remainder of your veterans under the bus and cut them as well. They are obsolete in the new age. We need to trust the process or something like that. The symbolic gesture of signing physical flotsam Josh McClown is more than proof enough. Time to tank. Knowing the Jets, they'll find a way to butt fumble this as well. It is year 3 in the wasteland that is mediocrity in the NFL, anchored by a QB that the team bought high on, and young players unable to replicate the old stalwarts on D. Everything about this team screams 8-8. Whether it be Joe Flacco, the carousel at running back, the resident old man at wide receiver, or the faded defense led by Terrell Suggs' healthy knee. Everybody in the area keeps hoping that Flacco will return to that one playoff form and lead the team to glory again. But let's face it, that's about as realistic as the Chesapeake Bay Crabs revolting against their human overlords. And everyone and their mother are in the emergency ward. At this rate, you'll be starting a JV team in week 1. In terms of being a Super Bowl contender, nevermore. Welcome to the island of no accountability. Last year was a massive disappointment after one of the greatest playoff collapses in team history. Let's do nothing to address our issues once again. Marvin Lewis is still here to have no control over his players. Vontez Burfict is returning to cheap shot players to oblivion. Pac-Man got into confrontations with police officers and the media, and, you guessed it, he's still got job security. But Mike Brown has learned his lesson, as in the draft he picked up the running back with the criminal record. This is the 11th time they've tried this. It won't backfire this time. But you know who needs to be punished? That fucking ginger Andy Dalton. Those solid linemen he had can be left for free agency and we won't replace them. I predict Dalton will be decapitated before week 6. The tank has been running for so long that it's broken down from overuse. Now you're just deliberately trying to suck instead of simply sucking via total incompetence. Adding to that infamous QB carousel is the legendary Brock Osweiler, a man whom you only took for the 2nd round pick and then tried to fleece him off to some other sucker. Only to realize that he sucks and no one wants him. Why not start him? You're going to be garbage anyway. It can't get worse than it has already. But then you realize this is Cleveland. It always gets worse. The Cavaliers shitshow will probably extend to this team by proxy. Another year, another insufferable March of the Yinzers, where they will boast about the inevitable Super Bowl victory lest everyone be thrown into the Monongahela. Big Ben is contemplating retirement, which means that he's in year 2 of the Brett Favre career simulator, and Antonio Brown is still going to bitch about not getting the ball after his massive extension. Le'Veon Bell is pissed that he didn't get his extension, despite being a high-risk player at a high-risk position, and is simply taking his ball and going home. Also, your owner is dead. The window is closing quickly, which means another year where the Steelers become property of New England in the postseason once again. See? This is why nobody respects the Texans. You have a studded team on both sides of the ball, yet completely shit the bed when it comes to finding a quarterback. You got desperate and threw money at Brock Osweiler, who treats throwing a football like it has the plague. When you have to trade a high draft pick to get rid of him after 1 year, you know you fucked up. Then you got desperate and tried to throw money at Tony Romo. Fortunately, he could see through the mirage and move to the press box before his body spontaneously combusted in week 2 of the preseason. Now you panicked and traded up for Deshaun Watson, whom will be chucked into the fire very, very quickly, since the rest of the team is at their peak and they don't want to waste any more of J.J. Watt or Jadeveon Clowney. Be thankful you're in the AFC South or you wouldn't even lick the postseason's teat. Ladies and gentlemen, the withered husk of Andrew Luck, completely battered by the highest sack rates in football and a management team that has failed miserably to compliment him in any way. The good news is that sniveling little rat Ryan Grigson is gone, to which everyone mourned his death like the Wicked Witch of the East. Little did anyone notice during their Mardi Gras that Pat McAfee retired to shitpost at Barstool. Fucking Barstool. The man voluntarily chose to become Chris Cluey instead of punt a football. That should show how depressing this team has become. I only hope Andrew Luck has good insurance. He's going to need years of therapy for this shit. Alright, you may not be the league's forgotten lolcow this year. Your defense is showing strides on the field. You've got one of the most hyped running backs in Leonard Fournette. And then you have Field General Blake Bortles. By Field General, I mean a guy who sends his troops right into machine gun fire. The road to bust him is wide open and clear for this reach of a draft pick. But the team can't be this bad anymore, right? You brought in the uninspired fixes of Father Coughlin and Doug Marrone for a reason. There has to be some hope of improvement this year. The football gods continue to shit on the Jags. It says something when the fucking Titans are the healthiest organization in the AFC South, a team that hasn't done a damn thing in years and hired a literal potato to coach their team is turning into one of the more promising squads in football. The haul for Jared Goff is turning into a decent one so far, and Marcus Mariota should be good, barring lingering effects from his injury last year. Unfortunately, like always, the Titans will probably be 1 yard short. Some freak injury or brutal defeat will happen and a yokel will throw a catfish onto the field. Bank on it. Year 2 of the Super Bowl hangover commences with more confusion at quarterback. Do you pick the noodle-armed guy that can't throw a football, or the prototypical project that can't throw a football? The choices are endless. Von Miller finally got paid, but that means nearly everyone else worth a damn is gone, and it's probably going to be about 4 weeks until you try to use necromancy to revive the withered corpse of Peyton Manning from his Papa John's-inspired slumber. But don't you worry, Vance Joseph, he of 1 year's experience manning the defense of a mediocre Dolphin squad feasting on weak opponents, will lead you to more mediocrity. At least it's not Josh McDaniels again, guys. Kansas City, welcome to the Andy Reid Show, home of the perpetually boring offense and disappointing playoff defeats where the team turns into a pumpkin. Turns out that you got some competition at QB by finally drafting one in the first round in a generation and trading a nice package to do so. But that's not what set the Walrus over the edge. Bitch, you do not fuck with this Jeremy Maclin. If you do that, he will beat you in a power struggle and have you fired a few weeks before training camp commences. A puppet now takes the old GM's place. Andy Reid now sits on a throne of fried chicken buckets and the heads of scorned Eagles fans everywhere. The future is bleak with short passes and praying Tyreek Hill can bust out big plays. Prepare to be withered to a boring, lifeless squad in 3 years at best. Chiefs fans, my liquor cabinet is yours for the taking. In one of the most soulless, half-assed sellouts in NFL history, Dean Spanos took a staple of the San Diego community and relegated it to becoming Stan Kroenke's bottom bitch. Turns out that fidgeting around like a spastic for 15 years doesn't endear yourself to a city, and now they get to play in a 30,000-seat soccer stadium for the foreseeable future. And the city of Carson doesn't want anything to do with their useless asses either. As for the team, they look pretty humdrum and will most likely waste another year of Philip Rivers' career. Your new coach is a cast-off from the Bills shit show that was carried to decency by LaShawn McCoy. How does he endear himself? Why, by refusing to let Rivers and Antonio Gates attend LT's Hall of Fame ceremony. Talk about a disciplinarian. But they got the sexy splash pick in Mike Williams. Sure, they didn't need a wide receiver, but his talent is impeccable. And he's gone. Here we begin year one of the city of Oakland playing a literal cuckold to the Raiders chasing after their hot new beau in Las Vegas. The state of Nevada is willing to castrate its financial future for the sake of Mad Magazine mascot Mark Davis. It's too bad for Oakland. The Raiders themselves have a really formidable team which should compete for the AFC title, if injuries don't get in the way again. But the team needs something to endear itself back to the fans. A player who will help Raider Nation to forget all of the bullshit. I know! Beast Mode! Because nothing screams competitive team like a once-retired running back who will probably be a shell of what he once was. My question is how long until the fans just get pissed off enough that they stop showing up to games. But then again, this is the Raiders, and they should be competitive this season. Fuck the NFL. In terms of the AFC, I see the East and North divisions being clear-cut and going to the Patriots and Steelers. The AFC South is a total crapshoot, but I feel that the Titans will finally take that next step and win it. The West goes to the Raiders. Wildcard spots are claimed by the Chiefs, and fuck, every other team looks like puke. I'm going to pick the Texans because, let's face it, the 6th seed is getting stomped in the wildcard game again. This is a really top-heavy conference once again, and there are only 2 or 3 teams that have a legit shot at the Super Bowl, barring incredible Deus Ex Machina. Yay.